everybody, Darkside Phil here, and welcome to another edition of the Hateful Truth video game review series, where I give you maximum truth and minimum bullshit regarding the latest video game releases. And today we've got a unique opportunity because the game that I'm going to be talking about today, quite honestly, was surprisingly good to me in my opinion. This was a game that, even though I wasn't anticipating it, I wasn't like overly giddy about it, because of the reputation of this game's history when it comes to previous releases of this franchise. And when this game finally was released and I played it, I was so epically excited and relieved and was having a ton of fun. I played the game for a week and loved it. Come to find out, people were saying, why is Phil still playing this game? And then they would watch and be like, wow, this game looks good. Why did mainstream review sites pan this game? To which I was like, what are you talking about? And yeah, come to find out, this game that we're about to talk about was critically panned by both IGN and GameSpot. Well, today we're going to go through this game both objectively and subjectively, like I always like to do. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons, and I'm going to give you my honest feeling about Alien Isolation. Keep in mind that I did play the game on the PlayStation 4, okay? So, Alien Isolation, what is the premise of the game? It is basically a what-if semi-sequel scenario to the very first movie in the Alien franchise, which incidentally was called Alien and was released in 1979. It's supposedly 5 years after the Nostromo, which was the spacecraft featured in the film, has disappeared. The daughter of Ripley, who was the basically main character of that movie, is off looking for her, wondering what the hell happened to her mother, where could she be, and she's been basically chasing around the galaxy different little snippets of information trying to find out what happened to her mom. Well, in this case, supposedly, a flight recorder has been salvaged from the Nostromo, and so Ripley sets off with her salvage team to go to a space station where supposedly this flight recorder is located and find out what the hell exactly is going on. So of course, when they get there, all hell ensues. You find out that the station has been basically thrown into chaos. Martial law is in effect. There are people who are fighting for their lives and are scared, just scared to the point where they're deadly, and they'll shoot you on sight even though you may not be a threat. Supposedly some androids on the station, and yes, there are synthetic humans called androids similar to the Alien franchise that are on this station that are also going haywire. Some are attacking humans, some aren't, and it's very disturbing and wondering what is going on. Of course, ultimately, the game's called Alien Isolation, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything by telling you there's an alien in the game that is constantly on the hunt, trying to hunt down people, and the game has several phases that change it around a little bit. So let me explain to you exactly what the game is. It's first person. You might say it's first person shooter, but not really. It's more of in the vein of recent first-person horror games where your goal is more survival than combat. In fact, a lot of the times if you try to go head-up combat with anything like an android, a human, or the alien, you're going to find that you are severely unprepared for the combat. In fact, there was this one point, I actually remember, there was a malfunctioning android coming towards me. So I pulled out my gun and said, alright, fine, I'll use the gun. I shot the android 5 times in the head and it didn't die. It still attacked me. So that's just a perspective of this game. It's more about sneaking, survival, than combat, okay? Not to say that there aren't going to be sections of the game where combat may be your best option. However, it is important to note that in the true vein of survival horror games, the alien itself is invincible. You can never kill the alien. The alien will be popping in and out of vents, sneaking around the game trying to kill you. You'll have a motion tracker, similar from the one that was used in the movie Aliens, the second one, where you can see motion of creatures around you, so you'll kind of know where the alien is at all times, but not always. Sometimes it'll just pop out of a vent and surprise you and insta-kill you if you're not too careful. But the game is good about giving you indicators about that. For example, if there's a vent that's open and there's ooze dripping out of it, probably means the alien's nearby. You shouldn't go under that vent, you know what I mean? So, let's talk about the game's length. Let's talk about the variety of gameplay in the game, what primarily you'll be doing, and then let's talk a little bit more about the overall game graphics, etc., okay? So first of all, the game primarily takes place on a space station called Sevastopol. It is a wide, expansive space station. The best kind of description and correlation I can give you here is Dead Space. Remember on Dead Space 1 and 2 how you had stages that were on this giant space station, you would go between them with a tram? Very similar here, in fact incredibly similar, because that's most of the time what you're going to be doing. The game's an open world, but lots of areas are locked off to start. As you progress through the game and you get more items such as a blowtorch that levels up, a hacking device to hack doors that also levels up, you're going to be able to open up more and more doors. Now some doors eventually you'll go to, and similar to say The Legend of Zelda, oh, you can't open that door right now, but 2 hours later in the story, once you get the blowtorch, you'll just find yourself back here and you'll be able to open that door and progress on with the story. However, there are other hidden doors that aren't necessarily hidden, but maybe ones that were at the beginning of the game. Oh, you need a blowtorch. Much later in the game, you have the blowtorch. Now you can open it, but it never tells you to go back there. If you go back there, you'll find several different kinds of hidden items. So now let's talk about the looting in the game, because primarily when it comes to survival horror games, looting is a huge part, okay? You're going to be looting for crafting components, which will allow you to make different items, such as a health syringe, a noisemaker that will distract enemies and the alien and make them go to a different area while you head the other direction, a Molotov cocktail, a flash grenade that will stun the opponents and they can't see. That kind of stuff, okay? Nothing overpowered, nothing crazy. We're not talking Dead Rising kind of crafting. We're talking useful gadgets that you can use over the course of the game. You're also going to be finding audio logs. You're also going to be finding computer terminals where inside there may be text logs to read, and also passwords for hidden doors, hidden lockers, areas you need to get to, but also additional side content. You'll be collecting ID badges of the employees of the Sevastopol space station. Those really add literally nothing to the story. It's just another collectible to add to your list. You'll also be finding blueprints. Now, blueprints are cool and important because what blueprints do is allow you to make new items. So, oh, I found a smoke grenade blueprint. Now I can make a smoke grenade that's going to basically distract either the alien or the enemies that are after me. They won't be able to see me in the smoke, and I'll be able to pass through quickly. So, it's kind of not needed and not 100% required, but it is essential that as you're going through the game, you take your time to go into every room, try to open up every locker, try to find the hidden areas, to get as many items as you can and find those blueprints so you can unlock fun stuff, okay? The final collectible is called the Nostromo logs. Now these are unique because these are actual voice-acted logs from the cast of the Alien movie, who are basically doing snippets of the movie or giving logs that they would have recorded kind of in their downtime during the course of the movie. And that's pretty neat because they get to hear these voice actors from the movie, the actual actors return in this game, and that's really cool. Okay, so let's talk length, let's talk primary gameplay. The primary gameplay of Alien basically makes you go from point A to point B to complete some kind of an objective. Maybe you need to open the hatch, maybe you need to open a door, maybe you need to restore the power, you know, typical stuff in a sci-fi atmosphere that you would need to do to either survive or trap the alien or whatever the current thing is that you're actually trying to do during the course of the game, okay? You will have audio communication with several different people during the course of the game through your headset via Dead Space. Again, I'm going to say there's a lot of references to Dead Space, but here's the thing, if you really think about it. Alien came out in 1979. Dead Space is a fairly recent franchise. Dead Space actually kind of took a lot of stuff from the Alien franchise and put it into their own. And now that Alien finally has a game that's worth effing playing, now they're using their own stuff. So you might say, oh, well, that's kind of like Dead Space, but yeah, but keep in mind that was all from Alien that Dead Space lifted from, so I can't really say, oh, they copied off of Dead Space, because really they didn't, okay? So you'll have communication with various different parties, including station security, other supporting characters, your own crew members who you boarded the space station with, and of course, all hell is going to break loose during the course of the game. You'll have android rampages, you'll have humans going crazy and fighting each other, you'll have aliens showing up, and the coolest part of the game for me is probably a couple different things. Number one, when you are able to successfully maneuver around the alien and say, yes, I outthought it. So for example, maybe you'll be in a room and the alien from per your tracker is out in the hallway, but you need to get across the hallway. So you go to the other end of the room, you throw a noisemaker down the opposite end of the hallway, and you backtrack through the room, so while the alien goes this way, you're going around him, and you're able to get around and sneak out. And that feels great. It's like, wow, I outthought the alien, I used all of the things to my advantage, and I was able to sneak by. By far, one of the coolest parts of the game is when you actually can set your opponents against each other. And what I mean is there are unique opportunities where maybe you're in a hallway and the alien's behind you, but there's humans ahead of you, so you actually make noise to lure the alien your way, then hide underneath, say, a hospital gurney, while the alien tears down the hallway and attacks all the humans, clearing the path for you. Then since you're hiding, he says, oh, there's nobody here, he walks away, and you're able to progress on without ever having to engage any of the humans. it's really neat that you can do that. I mean, it's really cool. It makes you feel like you're in the set of a Hollywood movie. It makes you feel like the movie's real and you're actually in the movie at that point. And I really like that about the game, okay? So, let's talk about length, let's talk about the graphics and audio of the game, and then let's talk about my personal feelings. The length of the game is about 15 hours long. If you did pre-order the game, you actually get about 30 to 45 minute DLC for free, depending on where you pre-ordered, called Last Survivor, and if you actually bought the retail version of the game, it's called the Nostromo Edition. That came with a code for another 30-minute DLC called Crew Expendable. Those two DLCs really aren't going to factor into my review because some people won't be able to get them if they didn't pre-order the game, and that's not fair in my opinion for me to weigh and balance that. But it is important to note the two DLCs are two mini campaigns based in the movie of Alien, with the original cast voice acting and even character models looking just like them. It's quick, it's not anything too complicated, but it's cool to be able to relive the events of the movie, especially if you've seen the movie. I just watched the movie a few days ago, and then when I played that, I was like, wow, this is awesome, I'm in the movie, right? So outside of the DLC, the main campaign of the game could probably be completed. If you're really good and you know where to go, you could probably beat the game within 10 hours. But for the most part, the people who are playing it for the first time, an honest playthrough where you didn't cheat, you're not looking stuff up, and you may have a little bit of difficulty, it's probably going to take you anywhere around 15 to 16 hours. Also dependent on the difficulty that you select. I play all my games on normal difficulty, so if you played it on a higher difficulty and it's more, it's more work, there's less resources, etc., okay, fair enough, but I played it on normal difficulty, and that's what I'm reviewing in this review, okay? So, that being said, 15 hours for a lot of people is going to be, wow, that 15 hours out of a $60 retail game, and it's an ongoing survival horror game. The question is, does the game keep the same heightened level of tenseness for the entire game? The answer is no, it doesn't actually, okay? There are a few parts in the game where things kind of drag on. And in particular, any part of the game where you're playing and the alien isn't around, because there are parts of the game where the alien isn't always around, can tend to be a little bit boring and drag on. Me personally, and this is my own personal opinion, I liked them because it broke up the tenseness of the alien always being around. I mean, if the alien was always chasing you, then the whole game would be identical, right? But there were a few portions where you were maybe facing off against humans and androids, and I really liked those as well. There also are some pretty big plot twists during the course of the game, and of course some people will say, oh, well, it's a horror game, so of course you're going to expect there's going to be negative twists and stuff, but I actually liked a lot of the plot twists. I felt it was a fresh, fun kind of a plot that really was well done, okay? So for me, playing through the game 15 hours, I was hooked, and I'll be honest, I played it 6 days. Every day I played, I felt like it was a new high. Like there was something that happened in the game that was, wow, I didn't expect that to happen, it blew me away. Wow, what a twist, wow, that was a really tense, heart-pumping part of the game, and it really ramps it up near the end. I'm not going to spoil why, but near the end it gets really fucking intense, so I won't go too much into detail about it, but it's great, okay? When it comes to the length and the plot of the game, there is a complaint that I have. Number one, the ending is a little deflating. The ending is kind of one of these cliffhanger endings. And they do these all the time with horror games. And I think it's because they want to see if the game does well, and if the game does well, maybe they'll have a sequel. You know what I mean? It's uncertain what happens at the end of the game, and you're like, oh! So that's a bummer. And when you have a game like this, maybe you're looking for closure and you don't get it, it may frustrate you. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I do have to say that those parts that the alien aren't around, some of them can drag on. And I'll be honest, there was maybe 1 or 2 stages in the game where I was like, man, this is just never ending. When is the next portion, when is the next chapter going to happen? It's taking forever. And there are chapters that are way long compared to other chapters that are kind of short, and that can be a little frustrating for you as well. Some people, I noticed, were basically complaining a lot about the game for a few different reasons. The first reason that people complained, they said that there weren't enough items, that you were constantly looking around for items to make health and to make noisemakers, and they couldn't find them, and it was very difficult. I never had a problem with that. The entire game, I had too many. I'm not even kidding you. For most of the part, I had too many items. I was always finding items that would say inventory full, inventory full. So what that says to me is either number one, the people who are saying that are playing it on a different difficulty level than me, and maybe there are less items, or number two, they're doing it wrong. They're not taking their time to sneak around and actively scavenge for items, which is how you're supposed to play these games that are survival horror. You need to have item management skills to survive in a survival horror game. Classic survival horror, Resident Evil, started with that. So I don't understand where that's coming from, because for me, it was almost never an issue. I think maybe there was one time in the game when I didn't have a health pack and I really wished I had one, but I got past it. Number two, I've seen people complaining that there's not enough save points. Let me explain how this game works because it's a lot different than other modern games. The game, until the last quarter of the game, where the game kind of really picks up for the finale, requires you to manually save at save points that look like telephones, okay? Now you always know there's a save point nearby because you hear a weep, weep, weep kind of a sound playing ambient noise, and if you hear it, oh, there's a save point nearby, I gotta get nearby. You're never safe in this game, and what I mean to say is if you're at a terminal reading logs, if you're doing a door lock or hacking, if you're looking through loot, if you're even at a save point, you're not safe. You could get killed at any time. So to use the save point, you basically have to lure away enemies. Maybe the alien's on your ass. You have to lure it away so you can use the save point and not die while you're using it. Yes, that is tense and that is kind of difficult. But what I found during the course of the game, there was only one part of the game, I shit you not, where I thought that the save points were too far away. And it took me a few tries to beat it, and I finally beat the segment, and after that I thought the game had an excellent placement and an abundance of save points. Now keep in mind, I'm not an exceptionally good player. It's not like I'm a pro-level player, you know what I mean? People constantly tell me I'm not that good. In this game, I died probably about 40 times, but I didn't complain about the save points. I don't think it was an issue, alright? In fact, there was only one particular part of the game that really pissed me off, and I'm about to mention it. The part of the game that really pissed me off, there was one portion where you had to sneak through a hallway where the alien was. Okay, now there were multiple corridors, so you could sneak around, you could lure the alien into other doors. But there was a door at the end that you had to hack. And it seemed like no matter what happened, the alien was like on cue to walk into that doorway of that room while you started hacking, no matter what. I tried distracting it, I tried going alternate paths, I tried burning it with the flamethrower, which we'll talk about in a second because I forgot to mention that. I tried everything, and the alien still fucking walked in no matter what and killed me when I was hacking. And I was like, that's not fair, because the premise of the game is that if you make noise, the alien hears you, or if you're, blowing shit up. I made no noise. I stealthily walked into this room to hack this door, and the alien always fucking showed up. And even when I finally beat it, it was by the skin of my teeth. The alien was right fucking behind me, even though I had thrown 3 noisemakers and this map to lure the alien away, it still showed up. So there are parts of the game that are going to have a little bit of annoyance because they scripted the alien to kind of show up. And there are ways that you can distract it or delay it, but you can't stop it. And that's one of the major gripes that I had, is that that one segment of the game was too hard. At one point, okay? I guess a lot of people also are having issues with you can't kill the alien. Well, there's a lot of horror games out there where you can't kill the enemies, right? We just played Outlast, Amnesia comes to mind. What was the other one that I played? There were 3 recently that I played where you could not kill the enemy. I can't think of the other one right now. But basically, you can't kill the alien. But the good news is you can stop it or deter it, meaning you can pull out a flamethrower, which does have very limited ammo in this game, by the way, and you can blast the alien with a flamethrower. It doesn't kill it, but it'll stop it. Now, sometimes the alien will be stopped in its tracks and run away, jump into a vent, and not come back. Sometimes the alien will run away and get pissed at you that you blasted it and try to attack you at another point in the stage. Sometimes the alien will hit you anyway. You'll burn it and like, oh, fuck you. Slap you in the face and then run away, and then you have to deal with the fact that you just lost health and the alien's still in the area. So there's various reactions to using the flamethrower, so it's not always the best option. Sneaking really is the best option in the game. Now, I mentioned earlier, the game's really not about combat or running and gunning. It's not. Stealth is your best option. But if you do want to use bullets or the shotgun to shoot humans, you can. If you want to try to get headshots on an android to kill it, you can. There's also stun kind of abilities, like a stun rod, but it has very limited ammo, but you can stun a human or stun an android and take it out that way. Unfortunately, most of those methods are completely ineffective against the alien. Really, the only weapon you have against the alien is fire, so the blowtorch or a Molotov cocktail is what you have to use. Nothing else is going to hurt the alien, okay? So, let's talk about the sound and the graphics. Some of the best surround sound I've ever heard in a video game. And I've played tons, and I used to use my surround sound system. Now I use these really high-grade surround sound headphones. The ambient sound of the game, the noises the alien made, the noise, the weep-weep of the save points told me where to go and made the game easier because I had surround sound. If you're playing this game with stereo, you're going to be severely hindered. Okay? I'm just being honest with you. The soundtrack's great. It's an orchestral soundtrack. It's amazing. It sounds like you're watching a high-grade Hollywood movie. The voice acting is excellent, with a few exceptions, but the voice acting for the most part is really on par with, again, a Hollywood movie. The graphics, this is where I'm a little torn, okay? Now keep in mind I played it on the PS4. First of all, only runs at 30 frames per second. Now, a lot of people have issue with that. This is supposed to be the next gen of consoles. For me, being that this wasn't a run and gun game, That didn't affect me, and I thought that it didn't affect the playthrough at all. However, there will be people who say it's next gen, it should be 60. That's something important to know. Number 2, the detail of the graphics was great. This is the best alien model I've ever seen in any game ever. He moves cool. This is like the imagining of what would the alien actually act like if it were real. Because when you watch the movies, you know that's a puppet. Keep in mind, the alien movies were before the era of CGI. So you had all real people in alien puppetry or costumes, doing the stuff. And you could tell, oh, that's a guy, and there's, puppetry around him. And he really doesn't feel natural or organic. Here, seeing the alien in full form, generated in 3D and moving around, it looks fucking sweet. The sound effects are great, dead on to the movies, the movement, everything. It looks amazing. And the alien itself is incredibly detailed. The environments are incredibly detailed. The one cool thing about the game, you know that the game makers are fans of Alien, because they took the corridors, the living quarters, even the bobblehead chicken perpetual motion machines from the Alien movie, and they're all in this game. You will see, wow, this looks identical to a corridor from the Nostromo from the movie. This is sweet. Wow, look at the perpetual, all these little Easter egg references are in the game. And it's amazing if you're a fan of the Alien franchise to finally feel like you're playing a game worthy of the franchise, okay? That being said, I don't know what happened with the faces, because the faces don't look very good, and the movement of the lips is terrible. Like, you'll hear someone and they'll be talking, and here's how the lip will move. And it won't be in sync with what they're saying, so it'll look like they're going while they're saying great voice talent. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, what? With all the detail they put into this game, what happened with the lips? Like, how did they fuck that up? You know what I mean? So it's very silly that is one of the negative things. But on the flip side of that, the animations of the characters are pretty good. Like, for example, one of my favorite moments of the entire playthrough was when I had a flamethrower in my hand, which you're supposed to use on the alien, and the alien was after me, but I ran into a human. I said, fuck this, and I ripped the flamethrower. The human went, oh, and he started screaming. The fire effects were amazing. The guy was going, oh, oh, and finally burned to death, and it looked realistic, like a human was burning to death. The lighting in this game, it's the best lighting I've ever seen in a video game. And I want you to keep in mind, I don't play PC games frequently, so maybe there's plenty of PC games that beat this one with lighting, but the ambient lighting, sometimes there'd be a fan going and you see the lighting flicker when an alien's walking down the hallway and you can see its fucking shadow. The lighting is amazing. The fire, light, everything. It's so well done. And it's critical in a sneaking game like this. You have great lighting so you can see stuff. It was really well done in my opinion, and I loved it, okay? So, now let's really briefly talk, and I have to check how much time I have left because my battery was almost dead when I started recording. Oh my god. The battery's about to die, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to talk, and if it cuts off, it cuts off. I'll switch over to a different battery and we'll continue. But basically, this game got panned by two major media outlets, IGN and GameSpot. Both media outlets basically said the same thing. The game is too long, the game is too hard, there's not enough save points. Okay? For me, the 15 hours was perfect, even though there were a few sections that dragged on a tiny bit. It was good for variety's sake, or else the alien would always just be you and the alien, you and the alien, you and the alien, and undoubtedly these reviewers would have said, oh, it's too repetitive. Okay? They said the game's too hard. I don't know what difficulty they played on. If you play it on normal difficulty and you're playing it in a sneaking manner, only sparingly using your stuff, I never had a problem with the amount of items I had. I always had enough for crafting. I always had some decent ammo to fight things with. I don't know what they're talking about. You can watch my playthrough, and I'm not very good at games. I got through the game with limited, deaths. Yes, there was one or two parts where I repeatedly died, but they weren't frequent. So I don't know what the fuck they're complaining about, okay? Amazing, I made this mug teleport into my hand, okay. I told you that probably the video was going to cut off. I apologize for that. Alright, where was I? Number 3, not enough save points. Again, the common complaint from reviewers. Sorry guys, I have to say this. I played the game, and like I said, there was one point where I felt there was not, there should be a save point here. Outside of that, the save points I thought were very well placed throughout the game, and I thought that it was fair, and there was never one run of the game that was incredibly difficult because there was no save points. Here's what I have to say about IGN and GameSpot's review of Alien Isolation. What they reek of, what they absolutely reek of, is hurriedness, of a deadline, they had a pre-release version of the game, and they were told to play it and review it in a certain period of time, and because the game ended up being 15 hours long, which they probably didn't expect for a survival horror game, they didn't have enough time to play through it the way that you're supposed to play it. Relaxed, calm, sneaking, not running and gunning, not rushing through it, looking for items, reading the audio logs, playing the audio, or you know what I mean, not reading the audio logs, but that's how these games are supposed to be played, carefully. Seems to me These people who reviewed the game basically didn't have enough time or didn't like that style of game, tried to rush through it. Oh no, I'm dying, I can't find save points because they probably missed one because they weren't looking carefully. Oh, blah, 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 wham, wham, wham. Isn't it funny that most people outside of those two game review sites who played the game actually like it? There are people who say, fair enough, there are parts of the game that are too drawn out, but I'm going to give you some perspective here. IGN gave the game a 5.9. 5.9, okay? IGN. This is a website that, for most overhyped releases, they give like 8s or 9s no matter what. Even if they'll list a laundry list of negatives, they'll give the game 8s or 9s. What it seems to me is that, guess what? Alien Isolation didn't bring in a lot of ad revenue for IGN. The reviewer at IGN didn't give themselves enough time to review the game, rushed the fuck through it, and had all these problems. Yeah, because guess what? You are a journalist, not a gamer. And I'm going to say that again. These people at the mainstream review sites are journalists, not gamers. They're not playing that game to enjoy it. They're not taking their time, right? They're rushing the fuck through it so that they can finish it and get their review done and give it to their editor, and their editor can publish it on the fucking website. That's not fair to the game developers, because you fucking fucked yourself not giving yourself enough time and not playing the game properly because for whatever fucking reason, and then you give the game a low review because you didn't do it right. That's bullshit. A game like Alien Isolation is made to be enjoyed at length, with enough time given to it that you're not rushing through it. Yeah, if I only had 2 days to play Alien Isolation, I had to play it in 8-hour bursts without any breaks, I'd probably get frustrated with the game. That's not the kind of fucking game it is. It's survival horror, jackass. It's not fucking Resident Evil 6 where it was run and gun action and you could just sit there and play the game and go right through it and beat it. That's not the point of the game. So, it's irresponsible, it is, and shame on them for doing that, okay? I'm going to give you my personal take on it. Alien Isolation is not a perfect game. It has flaws. But by no means is it some kind of a low-budget, El Cheapo piece of crap game like Aliens Colonial Marines and a bunch of other Alien games that have come out over the past several years. A lot of people didn't get Alien Isolation because they were afraid it was going to have that same stigma. It doesn't. This is a AAA title. The game runs well, plays great, is a ton of content, a great story, a lot of fun. I got chills up my spine playing the fucking game. Anyone who watched the playthrough saw that there were parts where I was like, oh shit. There's genuinely scary, jarring parts to this game that suspense the atmosphere when when the alien is hunting you. I almost said those aliens, there's only one. When that alien is hunting you, you get fucking so scared. It's really well done and really good. So don't listen to the bullshit of the two mainstream review sites who probably had a deadline and didn't play the game the way that it's meant to be enjoyed. If you are that kind of gamer who likes that kind of survival horror game, this is up there, I mean up there, with recent entries to that kind of genre of game, okay? So for me, compared to all the other games that I played this year, okay, compared to all the stuff that I've gone through, and the fact that this, I mean, I'll be honest, this was a slow gaming year, but I'm going to give Alien Isolation a 9 out of 10 for what it is. A survival horror game that's light on combat, high on suspense and thrills and scares and chills. It delivers in droves. And if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, fuck, this is a must-buy. Do not pass this up because of some asshole with a stupid review or because previous Alien games have been terrible. This is the one to get. This is the one that's going to put Alien on the map, and if they can continue to make games of this caliber, could really launch a whole franchise of Alien stuff in video gaming. But I'm afraid now, because when you get 2 negative reviews from 2 mainstream review sites, that's what happens. People pan the game and then they don't play it because they believe the bullshit. Don't believe the bullshit. Believe people who are real fucking gamers who like the games and take their time to enjoy them and don't rush the fuck through them for the sake of a review and a deadline and their editors off their back. Listen to someone who plays it because this is what they want to do. I made my living gaming, not vice versa. You know what I mean? Gaming is the way I make money, but primarily I game to game, and I make money as a side of that. So, no, I'm not getting paid off. I didn't get paid off by the makers of Alien Isolation. I love the game. I think it's worth your time, and you should definitely give it a fair shake. Check it out if you haven't. One of my favorite games of the year, definitely going to be a Game of the Year contender for me. I can tell you right now, it's going to have to take a lot to knock that out of that top 10 spot. And don't pass it up because of the naysaying assholes. Listen to people who actually played it correctly. The game is good. Check it out if you like survival horror or if you're a fan of the Alien franchise. Alright, that is it for the Hateful Truth on Alien Isolation. I hope now that I've given you maximum truth and minimum bullshit on this game. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention there's a survivor mode, did I? Because I didn't play it, but the survivor mode is a mode where it has optional extra content, where there's challenges where, oh, survive this alien, hunting you or whatever with a set prerequisites and stuff. I didn't bother with it because that's additional content that's kind of like, okay, if you want to get the maximum bang for your buck, you could play that. But for me, just playing the game, the 15-hour campaign was good enough. I don't need to mention that there's a survivor mode that's like replay value, but the replay value is there. Let me just say that so that I don't accidentally forget and then someone calls me out for it, okay? That's it, everyone. Thanks a lot for watching the Hateful Truth review series. I'll see you next time for another game review. Peace out, and I'll see you then.